Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing a comparison video on the Blade 350QX and the Phantom 2. They're both in the same class as far as size of quadcopters, and many may be wondering, should I buy this one or that one or this one? Now I know there's a Walkera, the 350QR, whatever it is. Everybody should know by now that one's fraught with problems between the hardware and the software on them. And unless it's changed by now, I would not recommend the Walkera at all. The Blade 350QX I started out with, and then I jumped to the Phantom for aerial video. They're both absolutely great quadcopters, but they do have some distinctive flight characteristics that are big. There's big differences in them, and the ones I'm going to be going over today are the biggest differences. And then I want to show them in detail, and hopefully we'll have them right next to each other, and we'll show them how they react right next to each other going down the field. Now I did a whole nother video already on the return to home function, how they respond once you hit the actual stick on there to return them home, and how accurate they are where they actually land. And there'll be a link to that down below in the description. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is an altitude gain test, and we're going to have both these sitting there idling, GPS locked, fully charged batteries. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, and we're going to hit the throttle, full throttle, and you're going to see how fast or slow they take off. And it's going to be regular modes on them, so you can tell. I know safe mode on this thing is totally unresponsive, so we're going to have this one in stability mode, the actual Blade 350QX, and the Phantom's in regular GPS mode, because that one's fully responsive in GPS mode also. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and then we're going to do a few other downfield tests and stuff like that, and we'll really try to show you the different characteristics on these, so you can really tell without being here in person if you want to buy the Blade 350QX or the Phantom 2, because their characteristics between the two of them are totally different. So if you get one or the other, it's going to have to be suited to your flying taste and what you think you're going to be doing with it. Now, I originally bought the 350QX just for sport flying around, maybe throw a GoPro on it. Then I wanted to get serious with the GoPro and aerial videos, so I went over to the Phantom, but of course kept that one for my son. So we got a perfect comparison here. They're both compass calibrated, fully charged, and we're going to get right to it. Okay, so we're letting them get GPS lock here so we don't lose the things. And once we do that, like I said, these are fully charged, so it'll be a good comparison. And we can go from there. Let me see if I can tilt you up a little bit. Now on the left here is the Blade 350QX, in case you can't tell from the camera, and on the right side there is the Phantom. So we'll be able to see pretty good with this angle of the lens how fast they take off. Okay, they both have GPS lock, it looks like, so we're going to arm them. Okay, so here we go. Like I said, right now you see it's in green on the Blade. That's safe mode. That's like a trainer mode. So we're going to go to stability mode. On the left there in the Blade, you see it's blue now. And then we're just going to hit full throttle, and you're going to see the difference. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so one more time, we're going to take off full throttle while they're still fully charged, so you can get another comparison here to know it wasn't a fluke. Ready? Okay, I got the stability mode. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now we're going to give you a view of them going straight up. You're going to be laying on your back, and we'll give you a different perspective here. Okay, so here we go. We're going to take off. We're going to give you this vantage point looking straight up. And 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, we got it all set up. I got you set up here on a platform, and we're going to fly right over your heads, and we're going to go straight down, and you should be able to get a good vantage point here. It's nice and sunny, and you'll be able to see it. Again, the Blade is on the left, and the Phantom's on the right. 3, 2, 1, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to go over the Blade 350QX separately now, right here in the parking lot. We're going to keep it close so you can really tell the differences between the two of them. And one thing I want to mention is that the Blade 350QX gets the GPS lock about 2 seconds faster than the Phantom just about every time. That doesn't mean the hardware in here is any better, it just means that it gets it faster, that's all it really means. The Phantom may require more satellites before it actually locks on and says it's okay to fly. So there is that difference. Right now you can see it's a green LED in the front there, that's safe mode. I'm going to show you the trainer mode and how delayed it is. Hopefully I can show you the controller and the quad itself and how it responds and how delayed it is, and that's why I say that it's almost unusable except for training. Okay, so we're going to arm it here. And then we're going to keep it in safe mode like I said, and we're going to show you the delay. Hopefully you can see both of them here. I'm putting the throttle stick fully up, and you're going to see how long it takes to take off. And how slow it takes off also. Now in this mode, it will hold altitude for you plus a GPS lock. So in this mode, it's a little closer to the Phantom, or if you go downfield, watch. Of course, it doesn't tilt that much, but see how it holds the altitude pretty good? But it's dangerous, like right there, if I kept going, the response in the controls is so delayed that it can actually crash into a tree because you're hitting back, return back the other direction, and it's slowly responding and coming back. So you got to remember that. Definitely a trainer mode. This is full to the right. Okay, and see it'll sit there and hover, that's great. Full to the left. And it'll hold altitude basically. Now we're going to flip to stability mode, which gives us full control, full lock back and forth, so that we can be more like the Phantom in this mode. So this is closer to the Phantom controls. And the first thing you're going to notice, we're going to go up. And you can see it just takes off really fast, even faster than the Phantom. But it also drops really fast. Now what you're going to notice on the Blade is you have to constantly adjust the throttle on here, especially on a windy day. It's going to keep dropping like that, and you gotta find that sweet spot in the controls. Whereas the Phantom has full control like this, full responsiveness, and it'll also hold your altitude for you automatically because the stick self-centers. This one you keep adjusting it, and I'm starting to get used to it because I'm starting to fly this more, but I was so used to the Phantom that I actually was doing a lot of that. I was all over the place. So it's definitely harder to fly. So if you want to have something that's the easiest thing to fly and still have the agility, definitely get the Phantom. You can see how much this one drops once I start going different directions. This is stability mode. See that right there? It'll drop quite a bit. So you got to keep that in mind when you're picking a quad. This one's going to require a lot more user input. And I just wanted to show that because it may not be so evident otherwise. Otherwise, this quad is absolutely great. You can see how perfect it flies. Nice and smooth, tons of power. And it's more for sport, like you can see. You can really have fun flying it around in a big open field. The one other thing about the Blade is that if it gets too low on voltage, which it is going into right now, and it's warning me, see? It's running out of juice and it'll actually just crash land like that. Okay, well this one gets GPS locked. One other thing I want to mention is the Blade 350QX has a lot of problems with RFI interference, whether it be from outside sources or from the GoPro itself that's strapped to the belly of it. If you don't fully shield that GoPro, you're going to have a lot of problems with actually getting GPS lock, and you can have erratic flight behavior and flyaways. So you got to really make sure that you shield it very well, whereas this one, the Phantom right here, you can strap it right here to the gimbal, unshielded, strap it on, not do any other modifications to this, and it will fly perfectly and get that GPS lock every time. So there's a big difference in hardware right there. So it's just something to note if you're going to use it for any kind of filming, because all cameras have a lot of interference to them. Even that Mobius camera has a lot of interference where you won't get GPS lock. It's not just the GoPros. So this thing has lock now, so we're going to take off. Okay, so we're going to take off here. And the first thing you'll notice, we're in full control, like the stability mode of the blade. But we're also in GPS column lock mode, in altimeter mode. As soon as you let off the sticks, bugs. Okay, so one of the things you're going to notice is that we have full control over it, just like stability mode on the Blade 350QX. You can really get around with it, but it also has GPS column hold and altitude hold. So this is one of the things that the Blade does not have. Now the Blade and firmware 2.0, the software, actually has an AP mode that has the full control, full range of motion, and it's supposed to hold your altitude also. From reports I've seen, it does not hold it as well as this one though. You can see it'll go right downfield and it'll just skim our heads, no worries. And once the Phantom's up in the air, as you just saw, let's bring it down a little bit. Okay, so once the Phantom's up in the air and it's fully revved up like this, it actually takes off pretty fast, just like the Blade 350QX does. So on the Phantom, it's mainly just taking off. It wants that smooth takeoff, mainly for video purposes. And the other thing about the Phantom, every time they release a software update and it's non-reversible, and it can't be a user-defined setting in the software, your descent rate keeps dropping. It was, I don't know what it was before, but then the last software update, it went to 3 meters a second, and now it's dropped to 2 meters a second, is the fastest it's allowed to descend. So if you're you know, in a sticky situation where it starts raining or something weird like that, you need to get it down, it's going to take forever to get down. You can see I'm full down, and it's taking forever to get down. Especially when you're at a high height. Right there is probably, what, 30, 50 feet, no big deal. Whereas at a higher height, it could take some time to get down. You can just see how fluid the actual controls are on here. Let me see if we got battery life. You just give it a little bit of input and it responds so smooth. So you can really concentrate on following something or navigating an area where there's close proximity of trees and all that through like a forest or something like that, and not worry about the quadcopter just going right into them because the controls are so erratic. This one I'd be able to bring really close to us, no problem, and we know it's going to sit there and just hold. And you can see right there, it does have speed to it. One other thing I want to mention while this thing's returning to home. If you hit return to home, it's not responding, it's taking off on you, it's doing weird stuff, you're in GPS mode, it's not reacting right. One thing you can do is go into, let's say we're in GPS mode, you can go into what's called attitude mode, the second one down, and you'll actually get full control back over it. There's been times where it's acted erratic, and I just flick it into that attitude mode, they call it, and my full controls came back. Now as far as landing, the best way to land this thing is in your hand. It's not that great and it's kind of unstable when it lands. And taking off is kind of the same thing. So a lot of guys even recommend you launch it from your hand and then you land it in your hand also. This way there's no debris kicked up because this thing kicks a lot of dust up, and also there won't be no unstable landing. So you bring it down, let it sit there, put your throttle down like that, hold it, and it'll automatically shut down. So right here you can see the Phantom is in low voltage mode, and you'll be able to see it land by itself right here. That's a secondary where it's in a critical mode, and it should auto land right now. You'll see it auto land. And then of course it'll automatically shut down. Okay, so hopefully this is a very informative video and helps you decide between the two depending on what kind of flying you want to do. This one's definitely hands down the winner for aerial photography. This thing's so smooth, the controls are so smooth, you can follow anything, it'll hold your altitude, and it's ultra reliable when you got all kinds of interference around you from the camera or otherwise. Whereas this one, it's kind of all over the place, a little more in tune with your controls. So you hit the controls and it really responds to them. Whereas this one has a little bit of a delay to it and a little bit of softening touch to it. So everything is very, it's a lot more, I wouldn't say sensitive, but it's a lot more precision controls with the Phantom for sure, hands down. So if you got the extra $200 and some to get this base Phantom without the gimbal, I would definitely get it. And between the controls and the quality of the Phantom and all the new software updates and everything else that comes out for this thing, the DJI just fully supports this thing beyond belief. And I may do a future video about the software where you can go in and adjust all kinds of parameters of the Phantom besides the actual main board updates and all that in there, so they have constant improvements. Whereas this one's kind of like every once in a while you can get a little cable and do a connection, whereas this one has actual USB ports on it. So this one's a lot more supported by the manufacturer than even the Blade is. So if I had to do it all over again and I didn't want to pay the $900 for this sucker, I would have just bought this, the Phantom 2 without the gimbal for flying around. It's still tons of fun, and but this one is a great quad too, but it's definitely only for that sport flying.